اهلا وسهلا، كنتمنى تكونوا بخير وعلى خير. رجعتكم بفيديو جديد ولعبه جديده. خصني لعبه شحال هذه قبل ما نبدا في يوتيوب تفرجت لي شي هاد الفيديوهات وقلت هذه لعبه مزيانه خصني نجربها ملي نبدا في يوتيوب، وجا الوقت باش نجربوها ونبداو ونسمعوا القصه ديالها. بسم الله.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Alright. شخصية كاركتر لعبوا بها
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
كان خدام في
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on the desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his
واو
office.
هانئا ينوض من الديسك ديالو من هذا الموطع هذا للخدمه ديالو. بكل بساطه كان كيكليكي اسهل خدمه، فجاه قال لك كل شيء اختفى وما بقاش كيعطيوه الاوردر، يعني ما بقات الخدمه ديالو ما بقى كيقول له كليكي وكذا وهادي. بس يتفاجأ قال اش واقع، اش كاين، فين هما الناس، فين هما الطلبات، شنو نخدم، نشوفوا شنو وقع بهاد الخدمه. alright.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Yes.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
دابا هو كيقول لي شي حوايج خصني نعملو، فهمتوني؟ انا نقدر نخالف ديك الحوايج اللي كيقولوا، نقدر انا ما نعملش داكشي اللي كيقول، نعمل داكشي انا اللي خصني نعملو وهو كيتعصب. المهم انت شنو يعمل معايا، انا بغا انا وراسي قاصع. اوكي في البيسي شحال هاد البيسي والو ما يتساعد. شنو هادي اي لاف، شنو هادي اما انا شنو هادي. اوكي نشوفو في الطاقه ما كاين حتى واحد، نكليكيو هنايا كل واحد بالرقم ديالو. سبحان الله. اوكي نرجعو عند البيت ديالنا. والو هادي.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
اصبر اصاحبي خلينا نقلبوها صاحبي. اوكي نمشيو مع اللي خصو هو. يلا شنو هادي مزاونة هادي. اوكي متفتحش. اوكي زيد. انا مرطو في حياته بلاتي، غنبقى نكليكين. عندك دابا هادي شنو يوزر نيم اكسس، لا غادي نطفيها تا هو تا خصو تطفى. زيد هذا غنبقى نكليك نعصب. والو كلشي تا واحد ما كاين، تا واحد ما بقى خدام. هاني. اوكي زيد فين الغرفه اللي قال لي خصني نمشي لها؟ فين خصني نمشي عند الاوفيس؟ غنشوف. لا والو. اوه.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
دابا قال لك وانا ملي جيت من هنايا جيت الباب ديال الشمال. لا انا نمشي اليمين.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Exactly, that's what I want. والله العاد نشوف هادي متفتحش. اوكي سهل لا. اوه هادي الغرفة ديالو.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
لا ما بقاش هنا ويقول لي بقى.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
left لا ما ناخذش امشي طوال. لا ابغى ندخل هنا.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
exactly انا ما انتبهكش ما اسمعلكش الكلام ديالك اللي قال لي هو نعمل العكس ديالك. زيد الباب نشوف هذا الباب هذا الموطا والله ما شنو هادي؟ do not jump from the left well I don't jump it.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley.
Thank you.
Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Exactly, I am. صافي سالينا ساليت القصة كيف تكون سالينا أصلا دابا نعاودو عام الأول.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting
يا عبدالك
room.
يا
Perhaps he had
عبدالك
simply missed a memo.
والله ما شوف كاين شي باب هنا تفتح نمشي من الباب بالعكس ديالو ما خصنيش نسمع له الهضره هنا مره زيد يقول لي انا شنو نعمل شنو ما نعملش تفتح حسن ما كتفتحني باب من والو نفتح.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on it.
اخر مره نسمع له الهضره زيد اش ما كيهضرش دابا وفينك تفتح بيبان والو صاحبي تفتح انت. اوه هذا هو الاوفيس.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer.
لا ما حمشيش عند البوس انا ما حمشيش عند البوس لا. يلا هنمشيو الطريق نشوف شنو كاين هنا. اوه
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Yes. I will go back and turn, yeah. That's what I will do. Yeah.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow.
Yes.
Just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Yes, exactly. ما عندي علاش نبقى انا هنا ولكن انا خصني نبقى هنايا زيد. يلا خرجني من هنايا.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet
Yes,
FA.
that's what I'm doing now. زيد ومن بعد.
Are you really still in the broom closet?
Yes, I am.
Standing around doing
Yes,
nothing?
I am.
Why?
Just like that.
Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
لا انا باغي نعمل هيدا خلينا ندير هادي يلا زيد. واش عندك شي مشكل ولا شنو؟
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here,
Yes,
right?
I do.
If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever.
Yes, exactly.
I never would have thought to mention it.
Yes. انت شنو يطلع منه زيد؟
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite."
I hope your friends find.
I hope your friends find this concerning.
Yes. باش بدا يتعصب دابا عليا تمام.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
هذاك يزبل فيا لا هذاك ماشي انا زيد.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're
لا
dead.
أنا باقي عايش.
You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just
كمل
about
دابا
to leave
ستوري
because there's
فهمتوني.
nothing here when a physical melody of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard.
لا زيد.
Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is
No,
dead.
I'm not.
He or she has fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place at the computer, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
No, I will not stop. I will not never stop. والله العظيم هذه اللعبة داخلة في علم النفس حق الله. دابا هو دابا خلاني ما جاوبنيش. أنا خصني يجاوبني، هو ما جاوبنيش، فإذا أنا نخرج باش يمشي يدار معايا، أنا خصني يدار معايا.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you
Second
on board.
player.
I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
Yes. So.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeated?
Yes.
No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming!
Yes, this is all a dream.
This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float off the ground.
Then he imagined himself
soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts. He thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams.
How could it be?
That, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley.
After all,
he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream.
It's not a dream.
Did the voice not see him float to make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too, surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently.
No, I will not close.
And he invited himself to wake up. My life is normal.
I'm normal.
I am
Everything
normal.
will be fine.
Everything
no,
will
I'm
be
not
fine.
normal. Everything can be fine. No. I'm okay. No,
okay.
I'm not okay. اوكي عاود فتحت عيني دابا نعاود نفس الستوري يلا.
Stanley began screaming.
Please,
someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice?
لا ولا
and everything went black.
عاود رجع كل شيء بلاك. ايش كاين؟ ماما ابع صاحبي هذا يأذينا هذا.
This is the story of a woman named
Mariella.
Mariella.
Yeah.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people are. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. Then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Wow, and run. يلا صافي هذه القصة ديالي، هذه النهاية ديالي.